This is the week in review. This week, we're going to be talking about a proposal of a bill in the United States to track what's happening in China. Multicultural communities as well are volunteering as leaders in Australia as interpreters. And PBS Kids adds American Sign Language for interpreters greatly, 2.8 million. This is multilingual. Let's talk about these things. Hello, everyone. My name is Eddie Arrieta, CEO of Multilingual Magazine. This is the week in review, and I'm going to be your host. Let's jump right in. The first story that we have this week is a bipartisan effort in the United States that's proposing a bill to create a U.S. research center to translate open source China materials. Now, the reason why they are doing this is because they consider that countries like Russia and China are already doing this. What they mean that they are doing this is they are taking open source materials, they translate it into the original language so that they understand what is happening. So this is an article by South China Morning Post. So you can check it out at scmp.com. And you will see that Democrats and Republicans in the United States are looking to make this happen. So the Democratic Congressman Joaquin Castro of Texas, which is one of the bill's sponsors, says the United States can't afford to be in a position where our competitors know more about us than we know about them. So keep in mind that this is going to require approvals from now until January of next year. And what this is looking to do is to understand what is happening in different content that is already available, of course, online and in official materials. This is going to look at political statements. It's going to look at the different speeches that people are having, cultural documentation. Is going to look at biographies in the different countries. It's going to look at travel documentation and military documentation. So this initiative is going to include a 5-member board with expertise in translation, media, international relations, and other relevant disciplines. If you have any opinions on this, it'd be amazing to hear them. But the United States, especially this bipartisan movement, is looking to really understand what is happening in China. They believe that China is becoming aggressive over the years, and it is important to understand this. They look at the Chinese Communist Party as adversaries. So that's a very important element of this conversation for you to consider. Now, on to our second story of the day. There are multicultural community leaders volunteering as interpreters in Australia. So if you don't know, there is a huge community of immigrants in Australia, specifically from Malaysia. And Flora Walter has been volunteering for a few number of years to provide support in writing to different people in Malay. Now, the way she's doing it is through WhatsApp messages, which is incredible. So they are, of course, part of a community called the Sunraysia Malay Ethnic Community Council, the SMECC, which relies on translating and interpreting services, TIS, to reach out to non-English speaking communities in the region. Now, what they are looking is for support in interpreting to be more widespread. Now, they believe that without this support, many people won't have access to information around emergencies. And since 2022, Flora has been doing this work over WhatsApp, which is incredible. We'll probably reach out to Flora and try to figure out a way to give them more visibility. The National Accreditation Authority of Translators in Australia and interpreters, called NATI, is responsible for accrediting language practitioners and was a partner with a study that was done already last year in Australia by Dr. Margherita Angelucci in Monash University. The name of the study was Interpreting Mentoring and Professional Advancement of Regional Opportunities. And it was really looking into how multicultural communities relied on unofficial channels for information. And this is probably happened all around the world. In Latin America, it definitely happens, and in Asia as well. And of course, as you can tell, in Australia, it's already happening, where people are using unofficial channels to get the interpreting and translating services that they do not get through government channels. And on to our third story of today, which you can find, actually, before I go, you can find this story, or you can find more of this story at abc.net.au. But then on to our third story. In fastcompany.com, PBS Kids adds American Sign Language interpreters to some of your children's shows. And this is amazing. So there are 6 series that will offer ASL integrations, which are Arthur, Alma's Way, Daniel's Tiger's Neighborhood, Donkey Hody, Work It Out Wombats, and Picalacious and Terrific, which will feature 10 episodes, including American Sign Language. This is amazing, as many kids, as you know, in the United States and around the world do not have access to content with sign languages. And if you don't have subtitles, you have a completely different experience. And even if you have subtitles, you have a completely different experience. And last but not least, Gridley have raised $2.6 million to support its digital content companies operating, or to support digital content companies operating in an increasingly AI native landscape. You can read more about this story in MultiLingual. Gridley is based in Europe, but they are going to be using this funding to increase their influence and to increase their technology. My apologies, and to increase their technology capabilities. You can read about this in multilingual.com. Also, multilingual.com, you should be able to see our most recent issue, the April issue, where we're talking about sustainability in localization. This is already available to all of our subscribers and is already being sent to more than 100 countries around the world. I don't know if there are any comments, questions, or concerns so far, but we are really happy. Remember, this is the Week in Review. If you have any stories that you'd like us to feature in the Week in Review, send them our way. Leave your comments and questions below, and we'll be happy to consider those. Our news section also we can feature today, so that you can see that there is an emoji webinar coming up, where we are going to be listening to how Unicode's process of approving emojis works. And there is much more to it than you might think. And no more for today. Mila, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you all next week. Thank you for being here in the Week in Review. My name is Eddie Arrieta. Leave your comments and questions below.